Well, that's definitely loose. All right. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Agency Navigator. In today's module, we have a rather boring video for you, but one that is going to be of utmost importance over the next 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 6 years, 10 years. Who knows? Let's see. Today, we're talking about service selection, right? So, in agency, my company is called growagency.com. It's not called Grow Your Advertising Agency, or it's not called Grow Your Email Marketing Agency. Under the umbrella of Grow Your Agency, we have such an eclectic mix. I mean, we've got email marketing agencies, we've got SEO agencies, graphic design agencies, web design agencies, Facebook ad agencies, Google ad agencies, TikTok ad agencies, LinkedIn ad agencies, LinkedIn lead generation agencies, creative agencies, OnlyFans agency. No, we don't, but that is someone should do that, I feel like the performance fees could be pretty high. Anyways, let's get into it. So in today's module, service selection. In today's teaching, we are going to go over convenience offer versus ROI offers, revisiting the distilled business model, examples of successful service offerings, the yes/no flow to pinpoint your best service offering, not being married to your service selection, under offered services, why we never offer two services, when we go outside of our single focused principle, and then reclaiming lost revenue with referral partners. So let's talk about convenience versus ROI offers. So in order to really grasp the topic of service selection, we first really need to understand the difference between a convenience offer and an ROI offer. Now, an ROI offer, as you can assume, is anything where there is a clear ROI that we can bring to clients, right? Let's say we're running ads for e-commerce businesses, then we can go, hey, we spent this much and brought this much in. Let's say we're working with gyms, right? And we go, hey, we've run through all the numbers, and if we bring you X amount of leads, if we follow those numbers downstream, that should result in X amount of customers, right? And even if your entire service wasn't even based on customers, it was based on, hey, if we bring you this amount of leads, would it be worth, would you pay a pay per lead marketing agency for that? Another example is email marketing, right? For info product businesses or e-commerce businesses, right? And with that, you can use a software like Klaviyo and different third-party tracking softwares. Certain email softwares are better served for those niches. And you can track, hey, from the emails, we brought in X amount of revenue. More examples of ROI offers are, for example, LinkedIn lead generation, even SEO, right? Because you can attribute X amount of traffic. Basically, ROI doesn't always necessarily have to mean, hey, we spent this much, we made this much. ROI can also be in the form of leads, traffics, obviously actual revenue brought back in. It can have many functions, but basically these are all pertaining to the fact that you're bringing the business more customers, more eyeballs, and you're bringing them something that actually will convert to sales and has a high probability of doing so. Then we get into convenience offers. Now, convenience offers are things like web design or social media management, because the thing is, at the end of the day, they could still do these services on their own. It's not really bringing any, it's not indicative of any additional revenue brought in. Now, it definitely will bring in extra money for their business, 100%, right? It's just really what it is, really the only difference between convenience and ROI is ROI has a good attribution model in terms of what money is being brought back in or what form of ROI is through the means of leads, revenue, certain amount of traffic, et cetera, et cetera. Then there's services that are kind of in this weird purgatory, right? They've got one foot in each camp. I'll give you an example. If you do content creation, IAG Media, which is the world's shittiest agency name, by the way. I've been meaning to rebrand for years, but there's always been stuff that have come up. Maybe after I launch Agency Navigator and the platform, I can finally get around to it. So IG Media makes no sense because we don't do any media at our agency. We're an advertising agency. But when I first got started, the first 18 months of my agency, I was a creative agency, right? Now, if I knew what I knew now, and I managed to get to $25,000 a month with my creative agency, we still did well. But if I knew what I knew now, I would have positioned it more as an ROI offer. So let me give you an example. There's a big difference between shooting content and managing the social media for a business compared to, hey, we create content specifically for ads. Right? Because there's clients of ours that are spending $500,000, even $1 million a month on ads. So if we can have a creative that performs even 3% better or improves the click-through rate from 1.5% to 2% on cold, that's massive. The downstream effects that has for our clients is insane. So as I said, there are some services which could be convenience, could be ROI. It really is a matter of what's your messaging. And as I said, look, please do not let me sway you off of convenience offers, right? You can very, very easily get to 10, 20, even 30K a month with convenience offers. I don't fully believe you can get to 100 or 200K a month like you can with ROI offers, but I was a 17-year-old making 25 grand a month, right? With my convenience offer, creating content, editing it, and distributing and growing my clients' social media platforms, right? That's what I did when I was 17. As I said, hence why my agency is called IAG Media. So really to kind of paint that picture, I want to revisit something, a wallpaper that I've already given to you guys, because this really, at the end of the day, this boils it down to its true core. Quite simply, what we're doing here is we're delivering service in the arena of marketing where our fee is lower than either the trackable or assumed ROI, right? Now, this ROI is mainly monetary, right? That's usually what clients are looking for. But as I said, sometimes it can be an ROI on reclaimed time, because if the client is like, let's say even you've got a video editing agency for YouTubers, right? And let's say the YouTuber is spending 10 hours, 20 hours a week editing, right? Let's say 10 hours a week editing, right? And you've got a team of editors. I mean, if this person can reclaim 40 hours a month of their time, and if they're a decent YouTuber, making decent money, or with a decent size following, they'll very easily pay you $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 in order to do that. Right? So as I said, it doesn't always necessarily need to be, an ROI in terms of the monetary form. It can also be an ROI on reclaimed time. Now let's run through an ROI offer versus a convenience offer. Now, as I said, a couple examples include for ROI offer, Facebook ads, email marketing, consulting, Google ads, etc. Now these services are more difficult to learn than convenience offers, and it's also harder to find high quality contractors for these services. Now you can charge anywhere, and look, of course you can charge more, and you can also charge less, but just ballpark figures, what I've seen, running the largest education company on earth for agency owners, is it's usually between $1,000 a month to $10,000 a month service fee. We really never dip below $1,000 a month for these services. And really what I found in terms of ROI, these ROI offers is usually between $2,500 a month all the way up to $8,000 a month. That's kind of like, I'd say $2,500 a month up to, 8,000, but that's with performance. That's really the sweet spot I found for ROI offers. Now, these services are revenue-driven services, which is why they're harder, right? So they're harder and you can manage less clients, but also, clients are willing to pay more for them. Then we move on to convenience offers. Okay, these include growing and posting clients' social media, creating content to post, creating funnels for clients, which can technically be an ROI offer. You can kind of position it that way. But at the end of the day, you kind of join the cesspool of like people on Upwork or Fiverr. And by the way, this is coming from someone who does 25K funnel builds for clients. And I've done maybe in my time running an agency, probably 10 of those. Me and my team have executed on those, managing Instagram, etc. Now, these services are easier to learn and you can find contractors easily and cheap. And you can charge anywhere, I found, between the ballpark of $500 to $3,000 per month for these services. So you're just gonna have to go for quantity over quality clients. Now, these services are harder to track the revenue you bring a business, and it's a hell of a lot better than magazine ads or billboard ads, but it's still hard to track the ROI. Unfortunately, that makes it hard to charge premium fees. Now, a tax advisor is an ROI offer, which is why they get paid more, right? Tax advisors get paid very handsomely. Whereas an accountant, an accountant is really just a bookkeeper, right? It's a convenience offer. You could technically do it yourself. Really, all they're doing is compiling your books and formatting it, right? Which is really why they get paid less. Now, here are some examples of services you can offer: Facebook ads, Google ads, social media management, email marketing, consulting, content creation, user-generated content, and ad creation. By the way, very, very powerful one, especially, there's always stuff that I'm recommending. Like, in 2020 for me, that was email marketing. In 2021, I think UGC and ad creation is very powerful. And even going into 2022, SEO, Instagram growth, copywriting, marketing automation, funnel creation. Some other ones to add in there are things like PR. Now, there are two very important things to remember when it comes to service selection. The first is that you're not married to the service, right? As I said, I had a creative agency for 18 months, and then we spent 6 months kind of transitioning and doing both ads as well as content. And then for the past 3 years, we've been solely an advertising agency. And the second is to get more creative. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should do social media management for OnlyFans accounts. Maybe not that creative. Or actually, maybe, who knows? But really what I mean by that is I was telling people, I was telling people publicly on YouTube, guys, one thing that is really, really a heavily under-offered service is email marketing for info product and e-commerce business. And I was saying that right at the beginning of 2020. And there was many people in CPA who listened, and many people who then went on to make $20,000 to $100,000 a month. Our top guy at the moment in CPA for that specific service is making $100,000 a month profit. And we have that student interview with him when he's doing $60,000 a month. And you can go ahead and find that in the student interview section of the portal. The next one, and I'm telling you this right now, is user-generated content and ad creation agencies, because that's really what I find, most agencies are struggling with at the moment, or, most clients that are spending a lot of money. They need ads that are not only good, but ads that are there to convert. Just coming from me, and I have no skin in the game, that's just something that I think is totally under offered at the moment as well. Anyways, now that we've gone over that, let's get into the flow as to basically if you're first getting started, or if you're somewhere along the journey, how do you figure out what service to offer? So the first question you need to ask yourself is there a service you already know how to deliver on yourself? If the answer is yes, then ask yourself, is this a results-based / revenue-driven service? If the answer is yes, awesome. Just stick to that service and double down. You've got the best of both worlds there. You already know how to deliver the service yourself, and it's a results-based / revenue-driven service. Amazing. Stick with that. Now, if the answer to that is no, then what I want you to do is I want you to keep making money from what you're doing right now, your convenience offer, and start learning the other one in the exact same way that I did, right? I had my convenience offer and I ran that for 18 months and I got to 25K a month. And while that was happening, right, I started learning, and initially, when I was doing Facebook ads, we were doing local lead gen for gyms. And that's really the first step I made in transitioning to a full paid traffic agency, or at least going from a convenience offer agency to an ROI offer agency. Now, if you don't already know how to deliver on a service yourself, then I want you to pick a results-based service and outsource it, because you're almost in a great position, because the world is your oyster, right? You can pick any niche you want, any service you want. And if you're gonna pick a service, I would go for the one that, in my opinion, has more longevity and can get you to 100K a month. Because look, yes, you can build a convenience offer agency and you can get it to 30, 40K a month. And this is on the basis that you're just starting out. Yeah, that's awesome. Go for it. But then unfortunately, you'd have to start a brand new agency all over again, because I have full confidence in every single person here that you will continue to get results and you will level up and you'll get to a point where you're making 100K a month profit. So as I said, might as well just think of longevity right from the get-go. So ladies and gentlemen, that is by far the best flow to follow in order to decide on the right direction to go with for your service selection. As I said, please bear in mind, it'll be totally different whether, if you already are very good at videography or photography, right? Or you're very good at one of the convenience offers, guys, don't just think, okay, it's the end of the world, I can't make money from look, I got to a point where I was making 25K a month profit at 17 years old. I know there's many people in Agency Navigator as well as CPA doing 30, 40K a month with creative agencies. Guys, it's very, very possible, right? I just think if you're first getting started and you don't have a foundation or base, then you might as well go down the ROI offer path. So you can see right here, we've got a wide and narrow approach. Okay, this wide and flat approach is a non-focused strategy, right? So what this is many different products and markets, right? And let's kind of translate that for us. That means many different services and niches. And then we've got a narrow and deep approach. So we've got a focused strategy and we have few products and one market, or in our case, one service offering, one market. Actually, I'm not going to say anything. You'll find that in one of the following slides. So now you might be wondering, Iman, why don't we offer multiple services? Well, let's revisit the tale of two agency owners, because one agency owner might think he's clever, offering many services. And who knows, he might have a upsell for one or two of his clients, but his retention rate will be in shambles, because unless you're really advanced, you cannot offer multiple services and do it to a high level. And even worse than that, they pile on extra headache, time commitment, and even money to find the people and to contract the people who they're going to outsource the work to. And they're really going to struggle to get meetings because, quite frankly, their market message resonates with no one. And if we look at this person 12 to 18 months down the line, I bet you that they end up making 20 to 30% the amount of money as a person who just stuck to one niche. Then we have the other agency owner who just sticks to one service. Now, his business is so damn streamlined. Everything runs smoothly. It's almost like a plug and play between different clients. And even better than that, his market message resonates. When he talks, his clients' ears prick up. And get this, their retention is double to triple that of the other agency owner, because they're able to hone in and really be experts in one area. They have more fulfillment in their life knowing that they deliver a better service. They're honest with their clients about what they can and can't do. They have less clutter, both in their business and mentally. And the funniest part, they usually end up making way more money than the other agency. So I think you know which side of the spectrum you want to be on. And the funniest thing about agency life is most of it is a contradiction, because the things that you do when you first start, the same advice that I'm giving you now, I will not be giving you at 10, 20, or 30K, right? When we get to that phase, and when I help you on a more personal level, when you get to that phase, I'm going to be giving you vastly different advice there. And that's the funny thing, as I said, a lot of this stuff is a contradiction, because when you get to a high level, that's actually where you kind of build a bit more of a moat around yourself by offering multiple services, but not outward facing. Inward facing, you can be a 2-service agency, but you only sell clients on one thing. And this other service is the thing that helps you with retention, and you actually offer it for free. But we'll talk about that some other time. Now, one thing I want to talk about is packages. I mean, what do I need to say? No packages. So a lot of agencies, what they'll do is they'll bundle together a bunch of different services, right? They'll have a silver tier and a gold tier, and I want to throw up in my mouth tier because it's so cheesy, it's so contrived, and it's so like, it feels cheap, okay? Because here's the thing, when you go to a restaurant, at least me personally, I want to choose a la carte. I've been to those Michelin star restaurants where it's a set menu and this and that, and it's an experience. But you end up hating half the shit, and you've paid a crap ton of money, and it's, I don't know, I would rather just choose what I'm going to eat in full honesty. So that same principle applies to the social media marketing space. Don't bundle up these services when you have no idea whether clients want them or not. As I said, when we get more advanced and, as I said, further down the line, when you continue your journey with your agency, we're going to get into some more advanced stuff, right? But for now, don't bundle packages. Okay. Do not bundle packages because quite frankly, just offer them the one thing that's going to bring the biggest change to their business. And as I said, the funniest thing is usually you'll be able to earn the same amount for these packages as you will for just the one-off service, because the thing is, people's eyes naturally always go to one place, right? Same thing when you go to a Michelin star restaurant and you have a set menu. They'll prepare a nice little set menu and this and that, but usually your eyes gravitate to one or two things, and it's the same thing, right? So your clients, even though you've got this package, usually they're just paying for the one thing that they want the most. So those are the main key points. But I mean, the biggest one for me is honestly, as I said, it just sounds cheesy or lame, right? This is one of the biggest rules that we need to follow. Everyone in Ingredients needs to follow. Number one rule is don't be lame. What that does for your market message and what that does for your communication is so powerful. Just always ask yourself, hey, is what I'm saying lame? Or is this the sort of thing that, they're going to hear from many other agencies? If the answer is yes, then, 20% of the time, stick to it because it works, right? And I'll give you some instances where, you might sound like other agencies, but it's right. It's not, isn't come across cheesy. But 80% of the time, if you ask yourself the question of, is what I'm saying cheesy? And the answer is yes, then you should probably stop doing it. So next thing, let's get into strategic partnerships. So as I said, because we're a one service agency at this stage, we only offer one service. Now, there will come times when, we're on sales calls with clients and they don't fit our ideal prospect. And we know they're not a good fit for our agency, but we want to reclaim lost revenue. And what you can do in that case is you can form strategic referral partnerships, and no better place to look than grow your agency and use the community. So in this instance, if you have a client who's not a perfect fit for you because maybe they work with a different niche or they're looking for a different service, form these strategic referral partnerships, and you can offer these clients to your strategic referral partners, and you can actually get a kickback of anywhere from 10% or 20% a month of every single month they stay on, or even 50% or 75% the first month, because that strategic referral partner knows that this client stays on for, a minimum of 3 months anyways. Now, if your referral partner is just selling a one-time offer, right? So let's say the web design or funnel creation, then you guys can negotiate a structure. In that instance, it's probably best to do between 15 and 25% of the project. So let's say, for example, you have a referral partner who charges $3,000 to $5,000 per website. Rather than you talking to a client and, they mentioned that they need a new website and stuff, rather than you charging them $1,500, but then having to pay a contractor and all this other crap, instead, you just refer them to the strategic referral partner. They sell them on a $4,000 website build, and they give you 20%. There we go. That's $800. Now, let's say that you have a client that comes to you for Facebook ads or through your outreach, just like when you go fishing in the real world, the net catch it, because I'm going to teach you some obnoxious LinkedIn training. I'm going to teach you some obnoxious lemless and automated email outreach, as well as organic outreach methods. I mean, you're going to get the full thing, right? So in the same way, when you go fishing, sometimes fishermen catch things they weren't meant to catch, right? So sometimes there will be these occasions where clients kind of slip through the net and you end up kind of catching them in your outreach endeavors. So as I said, in those instances, don't try to sign those clients. Instead, you can just refer them to someone in your agency, or form your own strategic referral partners, etc. So let's say you work with gyms and you end up on a call with a chiropractor. Then in that case, it's best you don't sign them, refer them to someone else. And let's say that person signs them for $2,000 per month, and you have a deal with them that, hey, I'm going to take 50% of the first month. Then in that case, you're taking home $1,000 just as a finder's fee. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to end off this module with just a little nuance, and I've kind of alluded to it, over the last 20, 30 minutes. And that's that once you get to a certain stage with your agency, you actually almost become a multi-service agency. So here at IG Media, outward facing, we're actually a paid traffic agency. That's all we offer for our clients. Now, when we say paid traffic, we're not a Facebook ad agency. We do paid traffic. So what that means is we don't care whether it's Google, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn ads, TikTok ads, Snapchat ads, audience network. We've run ads on some weird places for various different clients, right? For us, we pick the platform that is going to bring the best results, right? So we're a paid traffic agency, and that's outward facing what we do. Now, once they actually become a client, for us, the biggest, the name of the game is retention. So if we need to, because we have the ability and the skill set to do funnel creation, because we have the ability and the skill set to, help them with their offer creation, right? Or even kind of help them reimagine things, go, hey, you guys are using this sort of funnel. Why don't we try this funnel? And depending on the instance, sometimes we charge them, but a lot of times these days, and I found, especially in the last year, we just do it for free because we know the goodwill that builds. And then we also know that when they get better results, they're going to stay with us longer. So I guess for that reason, you don't need to worry about it for right now, but just know that further down the line, right? When you get to, 15K plus, 20K plus with your agency, when you get to that stage of your agency, you might want to really build a moat around your agency, because the thing is, when our clients come to us, not only can we handle paid traffic, but if there's issues, we actually, not as a rolling monthly thing, but we can help them clean up some of their SEO. We can help them clean up some of their domain reputation. We can help them with funnels. We can help them with tracking. We can help them with 101 different things, right? And especially with our info product clients, I can give them so much context. And we've even helped we've even helped our clients in the past negotiate their Stripe fees down because they didn't even know that was a possibility. Once you get further on in your journey, you can actually be an outward, still single service agency, but inward facing, right? When clients actually come to you, or clients actually become clients of yours, you can really just deliver any service and do whatever it takes to keep that client with you for as long as possible. So ladies and gentlemen, the action step for today is I want you to go into the community and respond back to someone's introduction post. Make them feel a warm agency welcome. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this module of Agency Navigator. I'll catch you guys in the next one.